Okay, so what we're going to be covering today is we're going to cover how to update basic configuration options in controllers and touch panels across the campus. And we're also going to cover how to pull the programming from a Extron controller and how to properly name it with our naming scheme. Now, the reason we're doing this is because we're updating all the systems across the entire campus. So we need all the information beforehand, and we're actually giving it to Extron, who's updating it for us. So this is going to be a step-by-step process. The icons you see here on the top right should have been added to everybody's computer already, and you should already have access to these. These two here are network shares. The one that we're going to care about today is the one called Extron Backups. You should also have GCP version 2.7.3. The icon on your desktop is just going to say GCP. It's not going to say 2.7.3. But the version that is on all the student computers is 2.7.3. Same for Toolbelt. You'll have Toolbelt 3.5.1, and that's on every computer you guys already have. So everyone will have access to these two pieces of software and the Extron backup. So when you first start, you'll go ahead and you'll just open up Extron Backups. In here, we already have a link to the smart sheet we're using to be able to manage the upgrade project. You don't need to worry about the building list. That's just a Excel sheet that we have to manage the project. But the key thing is at the end, where you'll be putting the projects that you download from the controllers is in here. And you'll notice we've already made folders for every single building. So first things first, you'll open up your smart sheet. You'll log in. So that takes you to this group. So there's 3 sheets here, and you're essentially going to use all 3 of them. So we'll go ahead and open each one in a separate tab. And we're going to start on the Extron Pro System List Smart Sheet. Now this smart sheet is where we will be tracking who is taking care of what system, so that way no 2 people are doing the same system at the same time. So I said I'm going to take care of room 6131. So I have 6131 here. I'm just going to go ahead and type my own name, and it'll automatically turn yellow. I'll hit save so everyone else sees that I'm taking care of this system. So now that I know I'm in room 6131, I'll go to the AV install sheet and I'll go to that room. So you may have to look a little bit, but once you find the room you're looking for, you'll have the information here. And the key thing you're going to be looking for is anything that's just a plain controller and a touch panel. So in this case, I'm only going to be touching these 3 network devices. Now, the first thing we're going to do is, before we even download the project, we're going to update the controller's IP information. And the way that we do that is through Toolbelt. So you'll go ahead and have Toolbelt open. And what you're going to do now is you're going to look at the IP addresses that are for those 3 devices. And then you'll just copy the IP address, and you're going to hit the Add button in Toolbelt. And then you're going to type the IP address. The username is always going to be admin. As you can see, you cannot change that. And the password should, keyword should, always be lowercase MSIT, uppercase LINK. If that does not work, then it might still have the default password, which is just the word Extron in lowercase. So I'm going to type in MSITLINK, and then I'm going to hit add. Then it should connect, and I have my device here. I can see that this device information matches the device information here. So while I'm at it, before I even edit anything, I'm going to pull all 3 devices into tool belt. In this case, sometimes you may only have 2 devices. Sometimes you may only have a controller if you're editing the digital signage controller. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and minimize our browser for a moment. So we're going to focus in tool belt. And then you'll notice in the bottom right hand side here, I have some key information already listed. These are your 2 DNS servers, your time server, and your time zone. So when we log into the controller, you'll see that they're listed here and that there's 2 pieces of actions. We're not going to be updating firmware, so we will not be touching these. We're going to be updating the system itself. So what you'll do is you'll hit the little gear, which is the manage action. And then what it'll do is it'll connect and it'll open a bunch of tabs on the right hand side. So we have in a typical control processor, you'll have 10 tabs, and in a touch panel, you'll have 4 tabs. The one that we're going to go to first is network, because we need to verify that the DNS server is the correct DNS server. In this case, it is already done. It is 10.12.30.254, so that is good. You're not going to touch the gateway, the subnet mask, or the IP address. If you edit those, that is going to affect the system's operability. So the only thing you're going to change is the DNS server on this tab. The next tab we're going to go to is the date and time tab. So what we need to do is we need to make sure, and here it is already correct, the NTP settings is going to be the time server. So this is pool.ntp.org. If you see something that says 0pool or 0.pool.ntp.org, make sure that you delete that and it's just pool.ntp.org. That way, if the National Time Protocol system changes in any shape or fashion, pool will automatically assign 0, 1. If 0 goes down, it'll automatically reassign it to 1. If 1 goes down, it'll automatically reassign it to 2. So we want to make sure that it's just pool.ntp.org. And then you want to make sure that your time zone / UTC offset is -8, -7 Pacific time. Now, on some devices, once you do this, you also need to make sure that it says automatically set the time and date with the NTP server. When you've done editing it, hit apply and then hit refresh. The time may be listed incorrectly. If the time is listed incorrectly, ignore it, because there are some versions of firmware that do not properly show the time server in this setting configuration. However, when Extron updates it, it will automatically fix that error. So we just need to make sure that these settings are the ones that are listed. Now that we've completed that, we'll go to our next device and we'll do the exact same thing. We will check both the network settings to make sure that the DNS server is correct. So see here, I have the incorrect DNS server. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to type 10.12.30.254. Now, if you notice, if you only have a period, it will automatically warn you that it should have 4 octets separated by decimal points. So if you put too many periods, it'll also tell you. So now that we've edited that, once again, we're not touching the IP, subnet, or gateway. We are only editing the DNS server. We'll hit apply. It's going to restart the network settings. It's not going to reinitialize the whole controller. This may cause a little bit of a hiccup in some systems, but nothing that is going to impact classroom instruction. So we're going to hit yes, we want to do this. So it's going to take between 10 and 45 seconds, depending on the model of the controller or the touch panel, to update the network settings and automatically reconnect you. So you noticed how it went to a gray screen, it didn't let me do anything. Once it comes back from that, it is fully reconnected with the system. So now we'll go back and we'll continue to the date and time settings. We'll make sure that it's automatically set. And see, here we go again. We have the incorrect NTP settings. So we're going to go in and we're going to put pool.ntp.org. And we're going to make sure that it's Pacific time, and we're going to hit apply. And then we're going to hit refresh. Now, luckily, this version of firmware is good. The time is still the correct time. So then now we're going to move to a touch panel. Like I said, a touch panel is going to have less tabs. It's going to look a little different. So you'll notice there's only 4 tabs at the top. But we're going to go ahead and go to network. And we're going to verify our DNS server. The DNS server is good in this case. And then in this one, we don't actually set the time server. The time server is only in the controllers because the controller passes the time information onto the touch panel. But while we're here, these are the steps that you need to complete. We're done with this portion. We're going to move on to the next. But something to note. If you're in a situation where you needed to restart a touch panel or controller for a classroom, and you know that that's the solution, not that you assume that that's the solution, but you know that's the solution to fix someone's problem, you could go to Utilities and hit Reboot. Be very, very careful to never hit Reset. Reset will wipe the entire system, and then we have to go back out there, reset the IP address, and then re-upload the programming. So if you ever have to, only reboot, not reset. And so now we've checked the DNS servers on all 3, and we've checked the time servers on both controllers in this instance. Like I said, in some systems, you may only have 1 controller and a touch panel, or you may only have 1 controller if it's a digital signage. So now that I've completed that, I'm going to go and open GCP. Now we're going to work with Extron so that all of you can get insider accounts, which will allow you to log into GCP. It'll only give you the Plus version. I'm currently running the Pro version. And you can see that down here in the bottom right. So when you first log in, when you first open the program, it's going to ask you to log in. And it's going to give you the system access with Plus. That's okay, because even with Plus, you can still download a Pro configuration, and all we're doing is downloading the configuration. So what you do is you go to the main controller, and based on our AV installs, that would be this controller listed here. So once again, we're going to grab that IP address, and we're going to go to File and Download Project. Now when we do that, it'll give us the same prompt. We'll put in the IP address, and we'll put in the password. And remember, the password is normally MSIT, lowercase, and LINK, capital. But you should have been able to verify that in Toolbelt. If you had an issue logging in with MSIT link in Toolbelt, please make sure to talk to Walker, David, or Adam to update the password before moving forward with that system. So that way everything is MSIT link as it should be. So, and then all I have to do at this point is hit download. It's going to connect. It will take anywhere from between 30 seconds and 2 minutes to download the project file, depending on how big the file is, because it downloads all the assets, it downloads all the Python code, it packages it, and then it's going to ask you where to place the file. So when we do this, this is where we're going to go while this is downloading. we're going to go back to the folder we originally opened, and you'll see under downloaded projects. So I'm doing building 6, room 131. So I'm going to go ahead and go to building 6, and then I'm going to have that folder ready to go. And now we wait. And this is a perfect example of an error. Not a valid project file. When you run into that error, please follow up with David, Chris, or Adam. But make sure to try a second time just to verify that it was not a network connection issue. And this is correct. We're going to verify that IP address. That's what we connected to. That's the IP address we have here. Make sure there's no spaces hidden before the 10. And then we're going to download. This does have a project file loaded, right? File loaded, building 6 131 classroom Brightlink. So, oh, this is the touch panel. This has 06131. So under the device information, you can see that there is a project loaded here, and it was last updated on 8/24/2018. And don't worry about the author being Jason. They're all Jason, regardless if someone edits it. What version was used for this? Software version 2.7.3.11. So, and we are using version 2.7.3 in this instance, right? Yes. So, because I cannot continue with this, I'm going to go and mark on AV System Review. I'm going to leave a comment. I'm going to say updated DNS and time server ran into download error. Reassigned to, and whoever you talk to, whether it be David, Chris, or myself, you'll put that person down. So in this case, I'm going to say, hey Walker, I ran into an issue. I was able to update this, but I can't get the program to download. So I'm going to go ahead and assign this one to you. So after I've confirmed with Walker that he knows that I'm doing this, I'm going to update it here that it is now C Walker. And we're going to save that comment, and I realize I just put that comment on the wrong line. So we're going to delete this comment. We're going to add it here. So in this case, we're going to take a little bit more time. I'm going to go ahead and now I'm going to work on 137 and hope to God this system works. So in here I only have one controller and one touch panel. So I'm just going to go through the steps fairly quickly. Verify. correct, correct, correct. Updated my DNS. There we go, it's downloading the file now. Once again, we're going to be putting this inside Building 6 because this is still a Building 6 classroom. Once again, I'm running into this error. Why am I running into this error? Pause. So now I'm recording again. Okay, so we found a classroom that works. We're using this as the example now. I jumped to this room. So I found the IP address, I typed in the password, and I hit download. It'll connect, it'll download, and then it will prompt me to save the project. Now the reason I said to have this one up is because you can click up here in the URL bar, and you can copy that address and paste it right into here. So that way you are already in the folder where you need to put the project. Now, we will be using our newer project name scheme. So you will be doing, all building numbers are done with 3 numerical digits. And if there's any suffix letters, you add that on top of the 3 digits. So in this case, it's going to be 006. And then you're going to do dash. And then it's going to be all room numbers must have 4 numerical digits. So if the room is, for example, 23, it will be 0023. In this case, the room number is 140, so it's going to be 0140. You are then going to put a space, and you're going to, and this is going to be for all of your projects because you're downloading them all in the same version, it's going to be 2.7.3. because the version you're downloading this in is 273. Then you will put the date you downloaded the project in a computer-friendly sorting format. Now what I mean by this is you're going to go year, year, month, month, day, day. You're not going to do the normal month, month, day, day, year, year. So the first 2 digits are year, so 19. The second 2 digits are the month, 12. And the last 2 digits are the day. If the day is a single digit, you're going to put a preceding 0. In this case, it's the 6, so it's going to be 06. And that is the naming convention for project files. You'll hit enter, it'll save it, and you will see it now in this folder. So now that I've done all the steps, I can go over here and hit the checkbox, and it turns green. And that's all you need to do per room.